Off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan, lies a monolith of concrete and rust. From a distance, it looks like a warship anchored in the East China Sea. The locals call it Gunkanjima Battleship Island, but this vessel never sailed. It was built to sink deep into the earth, to mine the black gold that fueled a nation's rise to global dominance. For decades, this tiny, 6-acre rock was a miracle of human industry. It was a microcosm of the 20th century. It held schools, hospitals, cinemas, and a population density that rivaled the most crowded slums of the world. And then, almost overnight, it was abandoned. Today, the wind howls through empty apartment blocks, and the ocean slowly reclaims the concrete. This is the story of Hashima Island, a tale of incredible ambition, profound suffering, and the inevitable decay of all things built by human hands. The story begins in 1890, during the rapid modernization of Japan. The Mitsubishi Corporation purchased the island for a single purpose: to extract coal from the seabed. Mining here was a monumental engineering challenge. The coal seams extended far beneath the ocean floor. Miners had to descend hundreds of feet into the dark, navigating narrow, sweltering tunnels that were constantly threatened by flooding and cave-ins. It was dangerous, grueling work, but the coal was of exceptional quality, and as Japan's empire expanded, so did the demand for fuel. To house the growing workforce, Mitsubishi began to build, and they built upwards. Because the island was only a few acres in size, there was nowhere to spread out. They constructed massive, 9-story reinforced concrete apartment blocks. At the time, these were considered marvels of modern engineering. They were Japan's first concrete high-rises. By the 1950s, Hashima was the beating heart of Japan's economic miracle. Over 5,000 people called this rock home. To put that into perspective, the population density was over 9 times that of Tokyo. It was a vertical village. Life on the island was a strange paradox. You were living in a cramped concrete box, suspended over a deadly underwater mine. Yet the island offered a high standard of living. There was a cinema, a swimming pool, a medical clinic, and even a pachinko parlor. The rooftops were connected by a network of covered walkways, creating a secondary street level in the sky. Children played tag on the roofs while their fathers descended into the abyss below. Hashima was a self-sustaining utopia of industry. But no history of the 20th century is complete without its shadows, and Hashima is no exception. During the 1930s and 1940s, as Japan's military ambitions grew, the demand for coal reached a fever pitch. The Japanese workforce was drafted into the military, leaving the mines desperately short of labor. To fill the quotas, the Japanese government and Mitsubishi brought in forced laborers. Thousands of Korean and Chinese civilians were conscripted and brought to the island. They were forced to work in the most treacherous, underwater sections of the mine. The conditions were brutal. The tunnels were sweltering, the air was thick with coal dust, and the work was relentless. Many never returned home. They perished in cave-ins, from exhaustion, or from disease. This dark chapter of Hashima's history was largely ignored for decades. Buried under the narrative of Japan's post-war economic triumph, it wasn't until the 21st century, when the island was being nominated for UNESCO World Heritage status, that the full, painful truth of the forced labor was officially acknowledged. The concrete walls of Hashima absorbed the sweat, the tears, and the blood of those who had no choice but to dig. It is a monument not just to progress, but to profound human suffering. But progress is a ruthless master. It builds up, and it tears down. In the 1960s, the world's energy paradigm shifted. Petroleum replaced coal as the lifeblood of industry. The black diamond beneath the ocean floor was suddenly worthless. Mitsubishi tried to modernize. They invested in new machinery, trying to make the underwater mine profitable again. But the geology was unforgiving, and the global market had moved on. The mine was operating at a massive loss. On January 15, 1974, Mitsubishi officially announced the closure of the mine. The decision was sudden. There was no long, drawn-out decline. The switch was simply flipped off. The residents were given just months to pack their lives into cardboard boxes. The schools closed. The cinema locked its doors. The swimming pool was drained. By April 1974, the last resident had left. The ferries pulled away, and the island was handed back to the sea. In the span of a single generation, Hashima went from the most densely populated place on Earth to an absolute ghost town. The silence that fell over the island was heavier than the concrete itself. Without human hands to maintain it, Hashima began to die. The island is battered by typhoons and lashed by salt water. The ocean spray eats away at the steel rebar hidden inside the concrete. As the rust expands, it cracks the concrete from the inside out, a process engineers call spalling. Roofs collapsed. Walls crumbled into the sea. Nature began to reclaim the vertical village. Vines crept up the stairwells, and birds made nests in the ruined cinemas. The island became a hazard, strictly off-limits to the public for decades. But humanity's fascination with its own ruins is powerful. In 2009, Hashima was finally open to the public. Safe walkways were constructed, and tourists began to flock to the ghost ship. It even found a second life in pop culture, serving as the lair for the villain in the James Bond film Skyfall. In 2015, it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, ensuring that its story, both the triumphs and the tragedies, would be preserved.